Judiciary Committee, and she is the chair of the Senate Rules Committee. Senator, I just want to open it to your reaction to this 2 hours and more than 2 hours of testimony today.
What a day, Lawrence, to hear the words, really all of the witnesses. You see, as you pointed out earlier in the show, Republican elected officials that were supporters of Donald Trump who just felt like they were not going to violate the law. I think my favorite words were those of the Arizona Speaker of the House, who said, "I do not want to be a winner by cheating. I will not play with laws I swore allegiance to." Or the election worker, Ruby of Georgia, who felt you could tell how she loved serving her democracy and how her life and her daughter Shay's life ruined because she became a target of lies, all of this part of Donald Trump's conspiracy to make up that the election was stolen. And the fact that these Republican elected officials, Democratic elected officials are testifying, I would think the word today is with such emotion about what they've been through and the personal anguish they felt, moves people in a different way than just the facts. The facts matter, or we wouldn't be having this hearing, but it's also the personal, and people had to look within themselves to why they ran for office, why they serve our country. And I think you heard the answer today. They took an oath to the Constitution, and they're taking it seriously, something clearly Donald Trump did not do.
Let's listen to what Rusty Bowers described as Rudy Giuliani's theories of the case.
At some point, did one of them make a comment that they didn't have evidence, but they had a lot of theories?
That was Mr. Giuliani.
And what exactly did he say, and how did that come up?
My recollection, he said, "We've got lots of theories, we just don't have the evidence." And I don't know if that was a gaffe, or maybe he didn't think through what he said, but both myself and others in my group, the three in my group and my council, both remembered that specifically, and afterwards we kind of laughed about it.
Kind of laughed about it, I'm sure, is understatement.
Well, what I heard here, Lawrence, was a lawyer. Rudy Giuliani is a lawyer. And basically, he is admitting that he didn't have evidence, and he is pursuing cases in court. You can see what the problem is here. And you also know that the White House lawyers, the Trump campaign lawyers, all rejected this. Eastman, Giuliani, Ginny Thomas, there were a group of them that were off on their own, that were pursuing what was clearly illegal. They were telling the Speaker of the House to come up with a fake list of electors in the Arizona, and he said no. Donald Trump himself, we've all heard it, even if you didn't believe anything anyone said today, and I believe you, you can believe every word they said, but we heard him himself looking for those votes, saying you've got to be able to find those votes, the 11,780 votes. Interesting, he picked that number. We know what he was up to. It was a conspiracy, and he had people working with him to try to flip the election illegally. And I think one of the things we know is there was a lot going on leading up to January 6th, and as we now know, there was a lot happening after January 6th. It didn't begin there. It didn't end there.
As chair of the Rules Committee, you're heavily involved in the transition of power, especially Inauguration Day and January 6th. And we learned today that Senator Ron Johnson tried to hand a list of fake electors, some fake electors, to Mike Pence on January 6th. He denied it, saying that his chief of staff reached out to Pence's staff, but then he also said that his chief of staff did the right thing by trying to get these fake electors delivered to the vice president. What's your reaction to that news tonight?
This was new news to me. As you know, Chair of the Rules Committee, we've had our own hearings on security. I've had many hearings with Senator Blunt on threats against election officials. I had never heard this before. He basically is saying then that he's handed an envelope, or his chief of staff, someone has handed an envelope. His chief of staff directly calls the vice president's office, who rejects getting these electors. But basically, Ron Johnson says, I don't know where we got. Why would you hand to the Vice President of the United States or plan to hand to them an envelope that you don't even know where it's from, but you think it contains fake electors? I think that this alone, to me, was very shocking because I know Wisconsin is a state that believes in fair elections. They have stood up for fair elections over time. They are my neighbors, and they have a very high election turnout. You have senators like Tammy Baldwin over there, but I can't believe that he would do this, and I think we need to look into this more as well.
Senator Amy Klobuchar, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you. It was great to be on, Lawrence.
And coming up, there's another Georgia phone call Donald Trump needs to be worried about.